I'm not a writer. Okay.
What up out there? Seems that the conscious community gonna stay going crazy if Pitt boss don't go live and shed some light to the darkness. Welcome to one of the most unique digital Pitt boss shows ever produced. I got a little something special for you tonight. We're gonna talk about them words of spells. Give you a little something interesting to ignite your life, to go away from the riffraff, the struggle and the beef. Put them back in the streets. Put your mind on your thoughts. Put your thoughts on your money. And put your money on your mind. You know, bring it all back. Whenever you see the butterflies, know that there is transformation happening. As we rock it out. Hey, I got my brother Blaqink. What you think? You know, coming back just to drop a little something for you. I'll be in tangent with his information as we get into the law. Thought it might be interesting that y'all understand definitions from two perspectives. So why don't you be so kind and support the channel, as I'm a bad boy on YouTube and they done blocked the account from monetizing. You know how I do it. Anyway, let's get into the show. Apparently, the conscious community is on fire or something. And it's all good. And it's all good, and it's all good, and it's all good in the hood. So, you know, I might turn my camera on for y'all today. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Got a $5 holla. We get on the mic. So, we talking about the law. Talking about some real heat rock type information to make your knock. And I know a lot of times, if y'all not too enlightened about the law in the conscious community and what it's soon to be, but we're going to get it tonight. We're going to make sure that the getting is right. This kind of show, you know, definitely deserves a little bit of attention. So I'm going to drop it out. I'm going to drop the link out a few times and we're going to get it popping. We're going to see who's paying attention and who's not in the conscious community. I don't too much find interesting topics lately. I kind of don't really watch them too much. I just tend to kind of, you know, observe the titles. And I ain't really seen too many titles that really had me interested to hit that link. What you think? And hit that link. So I just kind of bypass them. I figured if you can't get the title right, the show ain't going to be worth much. But it's all good. It's all good. We're going to see who want to ride the wave. And so I'm going to make sure I bring in my brother, Blaqink. Make sure he get to see what they think. Drop that link out there into the room. And whenever he ready to hit it and come in, I'm sure he will do so. I see we got a few troopers. We ain't got many watching yet, but I'm sure by the time we get into it, we're going to get it popping. So let me go ahead and share my screen because there's a couple of things on the scene that y'all need to understand. So today I'm gonna read a little narrative. This is called The Introduction to Law. This is the 5th edition. This that real shit, y'all. This is what you read if you was gonna go to school and get what you need. Let me take my headphones off because I ain't really taking no calls. And put my phone on mute because my shit sound like a dungeon dragon coming in there lagging, right? The reason I chose this topic today is because of the information that's being served up. Lately, it's just so like ridiculous. I was like, I could jump in that pool of nonsense and go hard. You know, they're gonna start saying the Christian bully is back on the scene bullying us because they don't really know how to give you the entertainment value. I mean, if you're gonna talk shit to each other, at least make the shit entertaining. Stop making the shit all personal, where we just disgusted to listen to you, right? Make the shit entertaining. So this is a little historical basis and current structure of the American legal system. So it's just a little short spiel. Don't go too hard on me. I just want y'all to get a context of how it really go down. These books go hard in the paint, and all them lawyers that create all them laws, they start here with the introduction of law. So let's get it. The new government, now we're going all the way back to 1776, so that y'all are aware of where the context of the story is coming from. It says the new government has finally been established with help from the committed military and citizenship. The Constitution was adopted and the first open elections were held. There is still unrest in many areas and some conflict continues. There are those who still maintain that a return to the former system of government is imminent and the best alternative for the public at large. However, the majority has spoken and established the new course for what promises to be a nation unlike any other that the people of this nation has ever known. Many look forward to the freedoms they have only dreamed of in the past. The new Congress has convened and in the process of passing legislation to give structure to the government and protect the rights of individuals. A judiciary has been appointed, and now here's the cases coming before them from the citizens. High-ranking officials hope that after so many years of struggle, it is only a matter of time until foreign military forces leave the soil of the burgeoning nations and peace will finally reign over this battle-scarred country. That is the new America in 1776. So it says the men nominated and elected a president among themselves. The delegates pass laws, act as judges in disputes among the states, negotiate treaties, and serve as government for the new nation. The duties assigned to the president were to preside over sessions of Congress and act as ambassadors to and receive representatives of other governments. All legal disputes with respect to individuals continue to be dealt with by each state's own system of justice. The founders quickly realized that the Articles of Confederation and Congress were largely ineffective. The national government had no enforcement powers. It had no judges, no jails, and no way to enforce collections of the monies each state was supposed to contribute. Moreover, there was no money or organizations to support a national army, nor was there a staff of government employees to operate the government when Congress was not in session. The president was only the head of a small group of delegates, not the leader of the nation. Clearly, if such a nation was to succeed, then much more organized systems would have to be created. Interestingly, one of the very first real issues in creating a permanent government was whether to allow the states to continue in existence. Several delegates, including some from the South, believed that the individual states should be abolished and that all people and all legal issues should be governed by the central authorities. In history, small states within a country had often ended up in conflict with one another over power struggles and other factors that produced civil war. However, in this instance, the idea failed to gain popular support because the settlers were fiercely independent and sought to preserve as much personal freedom from government as possible. In the end, a government of separate states, a government and national governments with specific functions was created. The states were left intact because they could respond effectively and quickly to the needs of their citizens and individual state economies. Keep in mind that the mass transit and communications were virtually non existent, and the distant national government was seen as being uninformed and uninvolved on matters of local concerns. The national government was formed to protect the fundamental rights of all citizens and ensure that the state governments would not interfere with individual rights. The national government would also handle national issues such as interstate commerce, Indian affairs, immigration, and international issues such as treaties for trade and non-aggression. Just a little bit, just a little bit, just to give you just a little bit. Now, we're not done there. That was just to establish what forming a nation looks like for the Black Power want to be a nation community. And so currently, let me make sure I got all my books that I'm gonna need, because I know we're going in. We will be in this book today. We're gonna get inside this book. We're gonna break some shit down, because the shit I hear from a bunch of weirdos who don't, none of these dudes understand law, study law. You don't gotta be a lawyer to read these books. Not at all. All you need is a certain level of comprehension to what you're reading, and you can down a lawyer with this book. You can down a judge with this book. All you gotta do is network, so you don't gotta sweat work, and know how this shit work, and you can get your game up, and that's a fact, right? We also gonna get into that basic dictionary, right? We're gonna talk about that basic information. This is the one that they give you in school and hope that you learn the rules. Oh, we're gonna smash back and forth a little bit. Blaqink and I. Blaqink, hit the link so we can see what you think while I organize and structure and make sure that I pulled enough books over here that I'm ready to kill the game, right? So I was watching a couple of videos because I'm trying to prepare myself. Give me about 30 seconds, brother. I'm gonna give you the mic. And I was trying to prepare myself for the fact that what is the conscious community really trying to achieve after all of the hustle and bustle, the fighting and the fussing, the mistrusting, the doubles back stabbed in the back community get their shit together. So I watched the video where they call themselves some type of Black Power organization that's trying to educate the people on some level of power. And when you hear it, it's just a chant. This shit is just a chant. And it really don't have no thrust behind the chant, because we know what happens when the po-po show up and niggas just go out that back door trying to get away. So we're going to break some shit down. So Blaqink, what you got for us, brother? What you think?
Check mic check.
Mic check, sound okay, okay. You ain't never all the way bomb, but shit, it's working.
Well, you know, I'm closer to nature than I am to technology. Shouts out to all is God. I see you out there in the chat, brother. Thank you for giving me the shout in your next video. Can't wait to see it. But
Okay, one of the things I need you to do is find a way to block the wind from your camera because it just kills the show. It's all it is.
damn, well, let me take it down then. I'm gonna take it down and put it inside so we can get a real chat on it.
Okay, that's
I'll
what's
be
happening.
right back in a few.
No sweat, no sweat. So while Blaqink readjusts his navigational position, his latitude and his longitude, we're gonna get it in. So let's see who we got out here in the chat room. Real good. We got a couple of the regulars, a couple of new people chiming in. I know I got a lot of people who don't really subscribe to the channel, and that's all good. Y'all always seem to find your way over here and knowing that link live, so that's cool. That's cool. Now, what we plan to do between me and Blaqink kind of talk this show through a little bit before we actually started the show to kind of navigate the direction, you know, way the conversation was going. So we're gonna deal with a few words. We're gonna give you these words. One in this the plain English, the Webster Dictionary version. We're gonna break that down. We're gonna go unabridged on that. And then I'm gonna reverberate that with similar words that deal with law, right? So if you're out after Black Power, let's say that they actually get their shit together and they find a way to accumulate themselves and prepare for some sort of power move. They got a couple of options. They could take them couple of little people they got in that community called the conscious community, and they could try to bum rush the show. I don't think they'll be as effective with that as the Black Panthers were in the 60s, and we kind of see how that played out, right? But they can also take their issues to a court of law and file some sort of you know, lawsuits or claims of some sort. But then if you do that, you're gonna have to know this. You're gonna have to be up in here, and most of them are not up in here. Most of them are fighting over ridiculous topics and misguiding, you know, just an enormous amount of viewers that view in the show. And so it's just a repetitive ring. And so currently, because the House of Consciousness at the end of last year kind of went through a struggle, it brought in a whole new type of viewer. And it was like the other viewers just kind of faded away. It's a lot of names from last year that used to be in the chat rooms I no longer see, unless they done created dummy accounts and now they showing back up under new pretense and a new name, and they back. But for what's there now, it's really kind of a downgraded version of what it already was. So if it was already kind of an entertainment, education type of thing, what I like to nickname the Housewives of Consciousness, because it pretty much mimicked what was going on television with the Housewives of Atlanta and the Housewives of Los Angeles and New York and Orange County and all of that. The shit was the same shit. You know, a couple of people talking, showing us how they living, and before long they fighting. It was like the same scenario. And so apparently that's what's happening again. Now, I'm not really going live like that. And my channel is not supported enough for me to be putting no work in. You know, this is some lightweight work, so I agreed to do it. But boy, if I would have had to put 2-3 hours into this show, it would have never happened, because I just got shit to do. I'm fixing up the last little technical issues with the site. So hopefully, if you guys are interested in learning some digital information where you could upgrade your digitals and get your game back up. Let me make sure I put this link back out there, because Blaqink be acting like he can never find that link once he jump out. So I'm gonna throw that link in there a couple times for him. But yeah, I'm gonna let him come in and kind of guide us into the direction. He's already back. How wonderful is that? All right, brother, we see you with the ooby dooby, Scooby Dooby.
How's that?
We see you back in the house with a Scooby Dooby.
Well, I didn't want to go back in the box. I want to keep it, you know, nature.
Nature preserve.
Hopefully you can see the trees. I'm up here on top of the tree house, and I'm about to read from some dead trees, try to get this mind food going.
All right, all right.
So where do we leave off? Because I heard you giving a good civics lesson for an intro, talking about the federalization of the government.
Yeah. So basically, I did that to show you how the white folks stepped up to formulate their power and organize their country, their government, and the issues. You know, it talks about a few little issues that they had. So I just wanted to share that a little bit of, you know, I could have kept going. It gets even more interesting and more interesting. And then as you get through the narrative, you start to get into understanding how the framework of law is established and set in play. And, you know, like I said, you don't really got to be a lawyer of any sort to study this stuff. It's not any more complicated than any other book that you read and study. It's just that the more you study, the more understanding you start to have about what the hell is really going on. And then you back that up with understanding the language when you hear governmental people speak, when you hear politicians speak. A lot of them are lawyers. Obama was a lawyer. Clinton was a lawyer. You feel what I'm saying? Many more of them were lawyers. And then most of the people, if they're not a lawyer, they took some sort of basic law, just some basic level stuff. And that's something that the conscious community is lacking in a whole. I mean, it might be 99.99% have no legal education inside the conscious community, which lets you know right there that they lack in power because they don't understand law. And that's necessary for power, is that you understand how the law works, because either you got to take these white folks by storm, or you got to outdo them in the courtrooms, and they rock with what you can prove in court. You feel what I'm saying? So you can know everything about your history and unveil the mystery, but God damn it, if you can't go represent, it just is it's just really bad. Also, if any of you get a traffic ticket and you still have 30 or more days before you got to go to court, that's another area that Pitt Boss gets it in. You can hit me 99lightyears@gmail.com. Let me know that you want to have a little consultation about your traffic ticket. If you want to fight it. If you don't want to fight it, you don't need to holler at me. But if you want to fight it and I could beat all traffic tickets, I wouldn't give a shit what you did. Based on law, that shit not legal. Beagle. All right, brother Blaqink, get it in, my man.
Okay, well, again, I'm glad that you brought up a civics lesson on basic government and trying to break down for the audience the structure of how it was built by law. So just a little quick tidbit when it comes to the national government, where you have the Congress.
Hold on, you be having a bad mic issue all of a sudden. You kind of coming in and out on me.
Okay, I'll just go on inside. Hold on.
I don't think it's the wind. It's not the wind. It's just you're either too far away from the mic or something of that nature.
All right, let me try this.
Great. Whatever you was just doing.
How's that?
Uh-oh.
How's that?
Speak again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you clearly, but we can't see you. We can't see your beautiful spectacle.
Okay. Yo.
Got a little crowd, then finally found the link. Now, if anybody got a question, you don't want to hit the link, or maybe you don't want nobody to know you in the room, you can put the question in 99lightyears@gmail.com, or you can write the question in the room. If I see it, I'll make sure I ask the brother as we kind of debate back and forth. And we're going to get it in. So, are you ready there, Blaqink? I think he still needs a second. Yeah, he got his mic. You got your mic off. There you go.
All right, how about that?
Yeah, but every time you turn it around, you keep popping the image out.
Sorry about that, kid.
Oh, it's all good, brother. I think the people, they know how you get down on the get down. And let's see. Yeah, I'm just letting them know, you know, we decided to do this show because all day it was like chaos in the community. And I was like, well, shit, you know, I don't want to enter into this garbage. I need some elevation for the nation. They're gonna make me go buy another bottle of the red wine. That red wine. And get it in. You know how we do it. So, damn it, he fell out the room. I don't know what the hell be going on. He's back.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. What I was trying to say is that it's good that you're giving this lesson because most people do not understand the three branches of government. You have the president, which is the executive branch, or the chief executive officer. Then you got Congress and the Senate, the House of Congress, or House of Representatives, and the Senate. Those are all the legislative branch or the lawmakers. Then you have the judicial, which is like the court system, which upholds the law that the legislature makes. So 2/3 of government is based on law in the United States of America.
That's deep.
Now, what I wanted to get into as just some basic stuff for dummies, because I'm over here with the Webster's Dictionary, is to define these terms that we use, starting with Black power. How do we define Black and how do we define power?
That's a good way to roll. You're going to give us a nice unabridged breakdown?
Yeah, I got this dictionary when I was 12 years old by my mom. You see how thick that motherfucker is? And it don't have no covers. It don't have no covers because I done went through it so much. The covers is gone. That's how you know a motherfucker read the book, when the covers is off.
When it's peeled back.
So today I'm just going to work on 2 words, Black and power. And for starters, this is the definition of Black. You see all that green and pink?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty long.
That's that blackness. Now, which blackness are we? So, you know, whenever you're ready, I could just do LeVar Burton reading Rainbow.
Yeah, let's start off by reading that unabridged definition so we can get some content to the show and understand which way we're going with it. Are you starting with, was that just based on Black alone?
That's just Black alone.
We'll keep it Black.
All right, well, let's get right Black into it. The first definition for Black is an adjective or a word that describes something. And I always like to start the definitions with the shit in the brackets because it tells you the root of the word and which languages it developed from. So it's going to take you from the most recent definition back to the earliest, starting with this. Black, adjective, Middle English, Black, B-L-A-K, B-L-E-K, bleak. From Anglo-Saxon, Black, B-L-A-C, or B-L-A-E-C, bleak. All right. Number 1, of the darkest color, the opposite of white. A surface perfectly black cannot reflect light. Number 2, dark in skin or complexion. An example of that is black men are pearls in beauteous ladies' eyes. And that was William Shakespeare who said that. Number 3, Negro. Number 4, destitute of light, in complete darkness, dark. And then the example for that is in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. Proverbs 7, verse 9. Okay, so that's the first 4. I was mistaken. There is actually all the way up to 11 So let me keep going. Now, if any of those sound black like us, then we can stop there and discuss it because the third definition was a Negro. Shall I continue?
I would like you to continue. Let's just get some real, a nice narrative, and then we'll double right back. We'll keep those highlighted.
Okay, well, it gets blacker. Number 5, figuratively, dismal, gloomy, sullen, forbidding, or the like, destitute of moral light or goodness, mournful, calamitous, evil, wicked, atrocious. Thus, Shakespeare speaks of black deeds, thoughts, envy, fighting, despair, etc. Almost like a little white lie compared to a big black lie. I added that in there. Number 6, soiled, dirty. 7, wearing black clothing. 8, disgraceful. 9, without hope, as a black future. 10, inveterate, confirmed, deep dyed as a black villain. 11, humorous or satirical in a morbid, cynical, or savage way as black comedy. Black act in English history, Statute 9 of George I's reign, which decreed that to appear armed in any park or warren, etc., or to hunt or steal deer, etc., with the face black or disguised was felony, repealed in 1827. So now it's going to get into different examples of the 11th definition of black here. Black angelfish, a dark-colored fish of the family Chaetodonatae. Black antimony, the mineral stibnite, the principal ore of antimony. Black art, necromancy, black magic. Black bass, an Eastern North American game and food fish. Oh, black bass, I'm sorry. An Eastern North American game and food fish. Microterus dolomiu. The name is also given to the largemouth or straw bass. Microterus samoides. The sea bass or blackfish. Black bear, sea bear. Black belt, that territory in the southern part of the U.S. where Negroes predominate. B, any district as of a city in which Negroes predominate. C, an area of very rich soil in the coastal plain of Alabama and Mississippi. Black bonnet, the European reed bunting. Black bird, the yellow aven. Black cattle, beef cattle, regardless of their color, raised for slaughter as distinguished from dairy animals. Black death, a deadly disease, probably bubonic plague, which spread over Asia and Europe in the 14th century and greatly reduced the population, so called from the black spots caused on the skin. Black earth, common black dirt or mold. Black flag, the flag of a pirate, usually with a white skull and crossbones on a black background, Jolly Roger. Black flux, a mixture of carbonate and potash and charcoal. Black friar, a friar of the Dominican order, used in reference to the Black Hole of Calcutta, an unventilated room about 18 feet square in which 146 prisoners were confined on June 20, 1756, and only 23 were said to have survived. Black horse, a fish, the Missouri sucker. Black manganese, pyrolusite, native manganese dioxide. Black Maria, a vehicle formerly painted black, used to take arrested persons to and from jail, a patrol or paddy wagon. Black Monday, Easter Monday, April 14, 1360, recorded in history as being so cold that many men of Edward III's army at Paris died from exposure. Black monk, a monk of the Benedictine order. Black oak, the black bark oak and its wood. Black oak chip, a variety of mineral black combined with iron and alluvial clay. Why? Black pigment, a very fine light carbonaceous substance or lamp black, prepared chiefly for the manufacture of printer's ink. That would be black ink for me. And obtained by burning common coal tar. Black plate, sheet iron before tinning. Black pudding, a kind of pudding made of blood, sweat, etc. Blood pudding. Black quarter, splenic fever, anthrax. Black rent, formerly in England, rent paid in produce or copper coin. Black rod, in England, the chief usher to the Order of the Garter and the House of Lords, so called from the black rod which he carried. B, a similar official in British colonial parliaments. Black rust, grain blight, a dark-colored fungus attacking cereals, especially wheat. Black sheep, A, sheep with black fleece. B, a member of a family or society regarded as undesirable, disgraceful, etc. by the other members. Black shirt, formerly a member of the Italian Fascist Party or of the German Nazi elite guard, so called from their custom of wearing black shirts. Black silver, the mineral stephanite. Black tea, tea fermented and withered before being dried by heating. Black tin, tin ore made ready for smelting, having been finely powdered. Black turpentine, mercurious oxide, archaic. Black vomit, A, vomit characteristic of yellow fever, dark because of the blood in it. B, yellow fever. Black walnut, A, the American walnut, Juglans nigra, a tall tree with edible oily nuts and hard, heavy, dark brown wood, much used in making furniture. B, its wood. C, its nut. Black watch, a famous Scottish regiment formed in the 18th century, so called because of their dark tartans. So that was all the first definition of black. The adjective, the descriptor. Okay? The next definition of black is the noun. And again, Middle English, black, bleak, from Anglo-Saxon, bleak, black. 1, the darkest color. 2, a black dye or pigment or a hue produced by such as this cloth has a good black. Number 3, the pupil of the eye, obscure. Number 4, black clothing, as for mourning, as to be clothed in black, formerly used in the plural as to put on blacks. 5, a small flake of soot. A fog that tastes of blacks and smells of decomposed frost. And that was by the author Young. 6, one with the face black or disguised, specifically a deer stealer, obscure. Number 7, a person of dark complexion. Number 8, a Negro. Black and white, A, writing or print as a statement in black and white. B, a sketch drawing or any picture done in black and white. Okay, Brunswick black is also another meaning for Japan black, and I think that has to do with the ink they use for calligraphy. All right, and the last definition of black. Verb transitive and verb intransitive. Black. And I don't know what PP and PP means, but I have feeling it does with prepositions. Blacking. 1, to make or become black, to blacken, to soil. And that, sir, are all the definitions of the word black.
Now, what I found interesting, you hit a point where it talked about Alabama, the black soil.
And that was the definition of black belt.
And black belt. Now, so that meant the black belt was the black soil of America.
Yes, sir.
Just so happened where they piled up the Negroes, right? So I did a video just recently about dealing with Tuskegee is Kemet, right? Understanding that the definition for Kemet referred to the black soil or to the fertile land of the region that we call Kemet today, right? And so when I thought about that, I said, well, if you superimpose that ideology or concept and we were speaking the Kemetic language today, then they would have called the South Kemet Belt, the Kemet Belt, right? If that was the language we were speaking. I just thought that was interesting because I know people was trying to figure out what did I mean by that. And I got another video where I'm gonna go deeper into that. So to bounce off what you just said and what you just read, I'm gonna give you the words in the Black's Law Dictionary. And they don't have, and I'm using the 8th edition, and this is an abridged dictionary. So it doesn't have the very extensive definitions that your unabridged Webster has, but we're going to listen to some of these words when it comes to legal terms. These are terms that would be either used on contracts or in a court of law.
Excuse me, brother. I'm gonna pop off and pop back on. I can't seem to hear, so let me call you right back. But go forward.
No sweat. Can anybody else hear me? I see my mic working pretty clearly. Yeah, too near me, not to hear me. So here's a couple of the words. The first word, let me get my screen back on here. Okay, so the first word is Blaqink. Then they have, I'll read a little bit. A fictitious tract of land used in legal discourse to discuss real property issues. Then we have Black Act, an English structure establishing the death penalty for the unlawful killing or maiming of animals. Then we have Black Book of the Exchequer, a record book containing treaties, conventions, chapters, papal bulls, and other English state documents. Then we have Black Cap, a square cap worn by English judges on certain states or solemn occasions. Then we have the Black Codes, an antebellum state laws enacted to regulate slavery, laws enacted shortly after the Civil War in the ex-Confederate states to restrict the liberties of the newly freed slaves, to ensure a supply of inexpensive agriculture labor, and to maintain white supremacy. I might have to turn the book around just so y'all can truly see. Let me see if I can get that to show. That very last line right here above my finger. Let me move it. Let's see if it shows. Yeah, I can see it. Y'all should be able to see it. So in a court of law, under the definition of Black codes, I need to read that again. It is antebellum state law enacted to regulate slavery. The laws enacted shortly after the Civil War in an ex-Confederate state to restrict the liberties of the newly freed slaves, to ensure a supply of inexpensive agriculture labor, and to maintain white supremacy. Now that's in the legal book, damn it. So anybody out there making a statement that white supremacy is a figment of somebody's imagination just don't understand the law and what the hell is really going on. So let's move a little forward. Black letter law, one or more legal principles that are old, fundamental, and well settled. The blacklist, to put the name of a person on a list of those who are to be boycotted or punished. Blackmail, a threatening demand made without justification. Black Maria, slang, a locked van used by the police to transport prisoners and to form jail. Black rage, insanity defense, it goes on to say. Black rent, federal rents paid in work, grain, or money, baser than silver. Blackstone lawyer, a lawyer with a broad knowledge of black letter principles, a self-educated lawyer whose legal training consists primarily of reading Blackstone's commentaries. You might want to get you a black stone lawyer who's understood in the black letter principles. And that's the last definition in this particular book on black. So maybe let me throw that link out there again, because I know when he hops out, it's a little difficult for him to find the link. So I'm gonna drop that link back out there for you, and we're gonna see if we can get it cracking. Let's see what they saying in the chat. Are you back?
Yeah. Up on the deck now.
Okay. Oh, we on the deck now. We rocking the deck.
Yeah, we looking out. We looking out the front door.
Oh, out the front door, we rocking. So while we got the beautiful view, and I'll leave y'all on the view so y'all know what it do. Let y'all see the view, because I know y'all just tired of my beautiful face. So I hope you got to hear, as I rolled through a couple of those legal definitions where black is used in tangent with other words to create definitions for multiple things. Did you get that?
Yeah, I got that. It seemed like some of the definitions lined up to the descriptors in the adjective version of black as well, because remember, in a few of them, they talked about colonial England, Parliament, British people, etc. And I noticed that they mentioned that paddy wagon, the Black Maria.
That's right. So now, in the aspect of the conscious community desire to obtain black power, as we covering just this first word of black power, gonna take us all over the place. But nevertheless, in the aspect of black, right, they are trying to identify themselves in a unity under what is called black. You know, that's referring to all melanated people of various shades of skin, but yet, you know, identifying those who was enslaved or colonialized under white supremacy. Also, did you notice how the word white supremacy is found in the Black's Law Dictionary under that particular word was the black codes? And I know you're familiar with the black codes.
Well, yeah, I am. But see, here's the thing. To simplify it, according to the dictionary and according to law, we are still considered Negro. I think Obama changed it on the census to African American. But, you know, those born before that were all considered Negro legally. So to me, that means black power equals, quote unquote, Negro power.
That would be the legal term, most definitely. Negro power would be the legal term in the aspect of what they are referring to when they say black power. And then beyond, because they're also including various people from around the world who also came through, who probably wasn't even enslaved, some just colonialized, others never colonialized or enslaved, such as Ethiopia. And Ethiopia wouldn't consider themselves a Negro or black. They consider themselves Ethiopian.
Right, because they have a nation, so they can lay claim to what they call themselves. Over here, we have not had a nation, you know, so it kind of makes it cloudy and muddy when trying to deal with the legal issue of forming a nation.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So now, do you have any, you know, any context you want to add to in reference to black and what you've been viewing with, you know, your time spent in the conscious community?
Yeah, it seems like an empty slogan that they borrowed from the 60s to feel good. You know, like I was telling you before, when I went to go see Sarah Sudi Seti live a couple times, you know, he came to LA. One of the first things he did when he comes on is he starts screaming black power and making the audience scream along. And then you do it for 10 or 20 times and then boom. Okay. Is that how we start the show? That's just, I'm saying humorously.
Yeah, that's the you know, that's the cheer, you know, get them pumped up, get them motivated so they don't be thinking about that $20 they just dropped.
Okay, so it still doesn't explain what they mean when they say that. I think one of the definitions you gave pretty much sums it up from a cultural perspective and an economic perspective. And that deals with controlling your environment, controlling the lessons that are going into your children's ears. But I will let you speak on that, because Black's Law See, I've never read that book before, but I've always wanted one, and they're very hard to find. So I'm glad you have it offered on your DPB studio site, because that's a book everybody needs to have. The dictionary, like you said before, and I agree, is just for basic, you know, dummies trying to learn how to construct and define what the fuck they're talking about and mean what they say and say what they mean. But when it comes to law, like the other night, for example, you had a cat on your live hangout that he was saying he calls himself this and that, and you were trying to explain in the court of law, it's going to get you thrown out because that shit doesn't have standing. So I would like for you to elaborate on these type of things, because again, we went into law and government, and now we're going into power, but we got to define the black part first. So please, Pitt, elaborate, and I'll be right back.
No sweat. Well, most definitely, that's what I've noticed is the cheer of Black Power. It kind of gets you pumped up. You see them doing it when they marching. You see them in like you said before they come out and speak, and it's Black Power, Black Power, Black Power. A couple of times that'll get you pumped up. It's a motivational chant, and there's nothing wrong with getting the people pumped up, motivated. But if it remains just the motivational speech and it never becomes an application, then we lose what we call Black BLAK, and that's better learning is applied knowledge. That Black Power rant must become an actual reality. And so it must be defined. It can't just be a slogan. It must be, what the hell is Black Power? What are we trying to accomplish? That way, once you yell it, you can start to navigate your words to head towards that destination. You feel me? Maybe he ain't back with us yet. I hear the dogs barking Black Power. The dogs in the background barking Black Power. Bark Power. So in saying that, y'all, I describe Black Power as economic control of your environment. Once you have control of your environment, you are now empowered. It doesn't have to be a whole goddamn state, city, or town. Just whatever you control, you got to have full control of it. And thus, you start to gain ground on building Black Power. When enough people have control of their environment, you now create what is called leverage. And then when you have enough leverage, you can make policy change to benefit you and your community. You see, currently we do a lot of babbling in the corporate and also in the legislative department of our community, and they have no leverage. And therefore, they buy out as quick as possible. As soon as someone shoots a donation over here, over there, all of a sudden, you got the highest taxes in the county because someone then sold you out for a payoff in order to charge you to keep you disenfranchised from empowering yourselves economically, because economics is power. This is why Pit Boss steered everyone towards Booker T. And I know y'all pretty much tired of hearing me repeat it, but until I hear them speaking, and y'all say, hey, damn, you starting to sound like Pit Boss. You still there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Your wind started kicking up. But, with that point, would you like to get into your second half of the word and get some definition cracking?
That's power. Can y'all see that?
We see it.
Okay. So see, the black part, I would consider a unifying word. Like, okay, we're all black, right? But the critical part is power. And I would use the analogy of the rappers in hip hop into the music business, not understanding that 10% of it is music and it's 90% business. So I would say the whole concept of black power is 10% black. Okay, we all know we're black, but how can we define the power that we seek? Okay, so let's talk about power. Power, noun. Old French, from puir, French, pouvoir, from an old infinitive, podir, from Lower Latin, potere, to be able, used for Latin posse, and to be able from potis, able, and esse, to be. So potis is able or ability, and esse is to be, from the very root of the word power in Latin, to be able to, okay? So number one, ability to do, capacity to act, capability of performing or producing. Hold on, let me get more comfortable here, brother. Make it so easy so y'all can hear me. Okay, how we doing now?
We good?
Okay. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. And that's a quote from Abraham Lincoln. Number two, a specific ability or faculty as the power in hearing beyond one's powers. So that would be like, to me, clairaudient. Shout out to Fiona Echo. Number three, great ability to do, act, or affect strongly, vigor, force, strength. Number four, A, the ability. Now, if you notice, there's a recurring theme here. It says the ability to do, to act. That's the base root definition of power. Okay, number four, A, the ability to control others, authority, sway, influence. B, here we go, legal ability or authority. C, a document giving it. So in other words, a legal document to give you power of, say, attorney. All right, number five, physical force or energy as electric power. Number six, the capacity to exert physical force or energy, usually in terms of the rate of results of its use, as the 60-watt power symbol on a light bulb. Number seven, a person or thing having great influence, force, or authority. So now you see power, ability is transitioning over to authority when power is held. Number eight, a nation, especially one possessed of influence over other nations, as the big powers. Number nine, national might or political strength. Number 10, a spirit or divinity. Number 11, an armed force, Army, Navy, and that's archaic. Number 12, a large number or quantity of something specified, and that's a colloquial meaning. Number 13, in mathematics, the product of the multiplication of a quantity by itself, as 4 is the second power of 2, or 2 squared. 32 is the fifth power of 2, or 2 to the fifth power. 14, in optics, the degree of magnification of a lens, microscope, telescope, etc., expressed as a ratio of the diameters of image and object. 15, plural, in theology, one of the 9 orders of angels. 16, in mechanics, that which produces or tends to produce motion, opposed to the weight or that which is acted upon. Okay, now it's going to get into the different assertions of power descriptively, as in collateral power. In law, a power granted to a person in relation to land in which he has neither present nor future interest. Exchange of powers, the mutual submission by diplomats of the official documents authorizing them to act on the matters brought under their consideration. So they talked about the exchange of power when the old president left out and the new president came in, right? Okay, in power. A, in authority or control. B, in office. Power of appointment. The authority granted by one person to another. Hold on. Be strong. Can you hear me?
I can
Hello.
hear you. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I
Hello?
can hear you. Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, I'll just go ahead and read it from here. Every time the phone rings, I lose sound. That's just that technology. Okay, where did I leave off? In power. Okay, power of appointment. The authority granted by one person to another to dispose of his property. Power of attorney. A written statement legally authorizing a person to act for one. Power of sale. A clause in legal documents serving as securities for debt. Holder, power to sell the subject so secured in default of payment. Stray power in electricity. Power lost by friction, eddy currents, etc. when running a dynamo. The powers that be. The persons in control. So Pitt, I'm gonna drop out again and come back. Please continue, and I'm gonna have my my rebuttal or response in that. See you in a minute.
No sweat. Okay, so now I'm gonna add to what he was saying, and I'm gonna give you the definition of power when it comes to legal understanding. So we got power, the ability to act or not act. A person's capacity for acting in such a manner as to control someone else's responses. That is the very first definition. The second, dominance, control, or influence over another. Control over one's subordinates. The third, the legal right or authorization to act or not act, a person's or organization's ability to alter by an act of will the rights, the duties, the liabilities, or other legal regulations, either of that person or of another. Now, there's a particular word involved in the definition of the first, where it says the ability to act or not act, a person's capacity for acting in such a manner to control someone else's response, which is the word capacity. So I doubled up and I pulled up the word capacity as well. And I'd like to just read a little something from capacity. The role in which one performs an act. Proprietary capacity, the capacity of a city or a town when it engages in a business-like venture rather than a governmental function. And representative capacity, the position of one standing or acting for another through delegates' authority, an agent acting as a representative capacity for the principal. The number two definition is the power to create or enter into legal relations under the same under the same circumstance in which a normal person would have the power to create or enter into such relation. Okay. The satisfaction of legal qualification, such as legal age or soundness of mind, the determining one's ability to sue or be sued, to enter into a binding contract, and the like. She had the full capacity to bind the corporation with her signature. Unless necessary to show the court jurisdiction, a plaintiff pleading need not assert the legal capacity of any party. A party wishing to raise the issue of capacity must do so by specific negative pleadings. So that's a little bit of both power from the legal law and its associate word capacity. So now the object is to build power for Black people. Everything in this country, if you're doing it by law, starts with the law. So it would seem that the law should be fundamental reading within the Black power community. Yeah, brother, you trying to say something?
No. I just had to come inside. It's getting too windy out there. I agree with you. And, you know, on the note of capacity, I would like to define that as well so people can get a further understanding of what power means in its capacity. But please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt your flow, bro.
No sweat. So in adding on to the understanding of Black power, you need to understand you're talking about Black people's legal position in law. This is what they're trying to obtain, a legal position in law. There is a need for self-defense in certain circumstances, but it is not always a physical defense. So we can gain the ability to assert a physical response when our territory is being infringed upon. That's necessary. But in order to create a proper power, we must understand how to legally legislate ourselves through the courts, because that is where things begin. I mean, we're not in the position, I don't believe, that the Black power community is really trying to prepare themselves for some sort of military assertion upon the general people that they feel is oppressing them. It is just a much harder task to fight that way. If that was necessary, then it's just something that you have to do. But in aspect of what we're trying to accomplish by creating Black power, if you use the definition that I have delivered, and that's economic control over your environment, then obviously you would want to understand law, that you may create corporations, which is law, a limited liability corporation or a limited liability person, and develop yourself an economic base where you can gain leverage. That's the most proper way to develop. Now, how do we achieve this economic control? You must start off with the fundamentals of building economic power. That is to educate yourself in the aspect of what it takes on a day-to-day business to operate and build an economy. Economies are built on systems and industry. So you must be a master of industries. This is the need and the understanding that why we have to look back to a time when we had nothing. Coming out of slavery, that was 1865. There was a moment of the Freedmen Bank where we was making a little money. We threw it in the banks and they tanked us. Then it came the period where we began to learn to farm, buy land, build industries, and therefore we started to create what was called Black Wall Streets dotted all over the country. Now, there is a need that we learn all knowledge. We need to know all things. So there's no lack of an area that we must not learn. But currently, we are off the path of educating ourselves to create industries so that you can create jobs in your community. This is what is lacking, the lack of jobs. The only way to create jobs is to become a business owner and create yourself a corporation. This is why Pitt Boss got videos called How to Create a Person. This is why I deal with the Knights Templar and the law video. I wanted to give you some details and background to how things are formed, that you may empower yourself by creating a corporation. That's why you need the STEM. That's why my paradigm inside the conscious community is king. It's king in the conscious community because the conscious community wants to create Black power. And if you want to create Black power, you have to control the Black community economically. Economically, it wouldn't matter what spiritual paradigm you're following if you are not creating industries that you can employ those who follow along with your ideas. And thus, it's going down. I am creating brands. It's what I've been doing for years. I got multiple brands of multiple people outside of the conscious community to which I've built. Go ahead, Blaqink, what you think?
I just wanted to piggyback the term capacity and throw out a couple of short definitions to add on to the conversation, because capacity deals directly with power. And we're talking about our capacity to build a power base and then maintain it. So here we go. Capacity, noun, Latin, capacitas, from capax asis, from capere, to take, hold, contain. Number one, A, the power of receiving or containing. B, all that can be contained, content or volume. 2, the extent or comprehensiveness of the mind, the power of receiving ideas or knowledge, mental ability, as instruction should be adapted to the capacity of the pupil. 3, active power, ability, productive amount, output, as a factory having a capacity of 1,000 pieces a day. 4, ability in a moral or legal sense, legal qualification, legal power or right, as a corporation may have a capacity to hold estate. Example, he had been restored to his capacity of governing by renouncing the errors of popery, and that's an author by the name of Broham. 5, character, profession, occupation, as in the capacity of teacher. 6, in electricity, A, the amount of electrical current that can be obtained under set conditions from a battery. B, the total maximum power which a generator can deliver. C, capacitance. Synonyms, capability, power, faculty, skill, ability, function.
That was great. That was great. So once again, Blaqink has connected the dot even further with a better Webster definition, which we would call standard definition for those of you who are not completely trained up yet in legal definition. And I really want to know how many of you is really ready to organize and set yourself up a company so we can start to create some Black power. Because if you remain on a job, you are under the discretion of your boss. And at any time, he can terminate the little power you may feel that you have. So while you have the job, there are various techniques that you can do while working to empower yourself on your own. You don't even have to leave your job. You can remain on your job and also build a corporation so that further down the line and years down the line, you might surprise yourself and begin to make more money in your business than you do on your job, giving you some options. If you would like to set up a business and you're not quite sure, it's your first time or something, you can contact me. Once again, you can leave me a message on the bottom of this video. You could hit me on my email, 99lightyears@gmail.com, and I'll definitely get right back at you and we can talk it out, and I'll counsel you on a few ways of approaching it based on the type of company that you would like to establish. If you want a rush on that company, we could have you set up in 7 days. You'll be sitting on your paperwork. I have my paperwork right here. Grab it real quick. I tend to keep this stuff around because I'm always referring to it, but basically you'll receive this, and this is your paperwork to your corporation, and it has all your official papers that you're gonna need to operate. We're gonna set up business merchant accounts. We're gonna set up business credit, and we're gonna begin to move you down that direction. And that should be a first step to your Black power if you out there repping Black power. Go ahead, Ink.
I would love if you could touch on the term standing in a legal sense, if that's in your Black's Law book. I have standing right here before me. And see, the thing is with the Black power community or the conscious community is they want to look at things in a nationalistic perspective. And in order to do so, you got to have the law in your pocket. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you can't cross the courts without having a dream supreme team like Johnny Crockett.
So, what up, y'all?
Hold on, brother. Give us. I didn't finish his thought, brother. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Hey, Carl, sorry about that. I'm almost done. So I wanted you to touch on standing, if it's in the book, in a legal sense, and then I'll piggyback that. And then to kind of make it make sense, if you could pull up the quote by Justice Roger B. Taney in the Dred Scott decision, it speaks clearly about the standing legally of the Negro in 1857. I think it's the Dred Scott case.
Okay, I'll get that in a second. You can give that to me again. Let me read this definition for you. Standing, it's a noun. A party's right to make a legal claim or seek judicial enforcement of a duty or right. To have standing in federal court, a plaintiff must show, 1, that the challenged conduct has caused the plaintiff actual injury, and number 2, that the interest sought to be protected is within the zone of interest meant to be regulated by the statutory or constitutional guarantee in question. That is the simple definition.
Okay, I'm glad that you put that out on the table because, you know, you mentioned before the some people have the idea that, you know, we just gonna wild out and go berserk and that's gonna be it. I don't agree with that revolutionary mentality of armed resistance at this stage of the game. Because again, it goes back to legal standing and what type of power do you possess already to build upon that foundation, whether it be economically or legally. So just to clarify what standing means in the dictionary relative to what you read, we'll go to the the second definition and the ninth definition. I'm sorry, the third definition. Established either by law or custom, continuously existing and not temporary. Then we'll jump down to number 9. Standing order. A, in military usage, formally, a general order always in force in a particular command, establishing a standard or uniform procedure, now called standard operating procedure. B, plural, in parliamentary procedure, the rules for procedure which continue in force through all sessions until changed or repealed. Now, if you could touch on the Dred Scott decision, Roger B. Taney quoted about the Negro standing in 1857, just before the Civil War. Speaks clearly on the court's view of where Dred Scott decision, Justice Taney, Taney. He had a cold quote that still is reminiscent and resonates to this day. And it has to do with standing.
You want the quote, or what am I looking for in particular? The quote?
The quote regarding standing.
Okay.
And then I'm done for now.
Okay. Let's see. I'm not exactly sure if this is just going to land on the quote itself, but I did find the Dred Scott case. And yeah, I don't know how to find a particular.
I'll find it. I'll drop off and come back. I'll find it.
Okay. Hold on. I think I found it. Come on back. Oh, let me yeah, I think I got it. All right, Carl, go ahead, brother.
No, I'm just over fucking around. I don't know what y'all talking about really and stuff. I got an idea from what I didn't heard. Excuse me, I got a little cold, but you know, I came over, y'all was on, so I thought I'd jump in the chat instead of just sitting on the side chat, you know.
Okay, well, we basically defined. Hold on, you got all kind of stuff. Yeah, we basically were just doing a show on legal definitions. It's just to break down understandings in legal matter and then reference it in the standard English just to understand what it is that the Black Power community is really after. You feel me? And if that's the case, that they want Black Power, we just want a clear definition. And so what clear way can you do it but to read it straight from the dictionary, and then also read it from a law dictionary, so that you get both interpretations, that you can apply it to a systematic way of operation. And so at this particular point, you got any comment about that you want to add to?
Nah, I mean, you know, I deal with the dictionary enough to understand that, you know, the words do matter when you're in the courtroom or when you're in a court of law, that the terms are used differently, you know, than just when you're on the streets and things of that nature. So yeah, it does good to
well, let me ask you this. Can you, okay. What do you think they mean when you watching a video, you know, and you hear them say Black Power? Like what is it to you that you're getting from that, you know, or what do you think the person saying it meaning? You can use any, you know, I know you done seen damn near every video in the conscious community, so you know you talking about.
Well, as I've been saying on my channel lately, you know, that we set the precedent for a lot of stuff. So once we start talking economics and this and that and Booker T and this and that, which you basically brought that over to the table a little bit more than me, because, you know, I just wanted to stay the Bible, man, and let other people, you know, deal with their vocations in the community. That, you know, we changed the paradigm. That's why you got people doing the Black empowerment stuff and talking economics and doing this thing and talking about, you know, the economics more. So they weren't talking that, you know, to them it's, you know, kill the cracker, fuck the pig, dude, you know, that's Black Power, be able to talk shit behind the keyboard or on the street. And, you know, hope you don't get your head bashed in by the ones with the guns and the ones that really uphold the standard of power today.
So do you think that the Black Power is just like a cheer that to just kind of, because, you know, when they start saying it, it pumps the crowd up. So what I'm trying to understand is what is electrifying the crowd? Because, you know, whenever I've heard it and I've been in seeing Hashim and Zinga live and he go in when he do it, and I see the whole crowd electrified. They can't wait for this type of power. But I'm curious as if they understand what it is that they're after that's electrifying them. This is what we're trying to get to. What is the power that you would like? You know, we all understand the simple narrative. They would like the white man to stop oppressing them. You know what I mean? That's clear. And I'm assuming if they stop doing that, then Black folks could collectivize themselves to have Black Power. Or what do you think they meant in the 1960s when the phrase was popularized?
Well, that's what they meant in the 60, around 66 and stuff. It was about building institutions and stuff. All the street gangs that came from the Panthers afterwards had that in they lit and in their conversation, because that's the foundation of building a community. Being able to, you know, have children at the park and they feel safe. Nobody trying to molest them. Nobody trying to snatch them up and run off from their parents with them or whatever. Nobody, you know, coming in the community, starting any trouble and stuff. You know, being able to open up stores and stuff in your community, things to that nature. I've been talking about Chicago gangs more and more lately, since I've been trying to deal with Chicago. And the conservative vice lords, they wanted to be lords of everything that was a vice to the people. So they opened up, you know, stores. They start doing things. They start opening up food programs similar to the Panthers and everything. So observation and participation became, you know, a standard that people observe you doing certain things and in the community more than anything, you know, creating jobs and going to jobs and working. Ain't nothing wrong with working for, as you say, a certain type of individual and stuff, long as you know that at the end of the day, you can go make that money and circulate it amongst the black community. So when you don't have a job and stuff, there is a grocery store that you can go work at, or there's a car wash down the street that you can go work at. So this is being able to empower your community and keep them dollars in your community. Well, if you need them, whether if they're in a church or wherever they at, you can go get them because they're in your community. But when you lack that economics stimulants in the community, then, you know, it fucks people up. They really can't get stimulated. So when you say black power, when you talking like that, then that's black power. But when you just saying it like you on some He-Man shit, I got the power of Grayskull and the sword ain't did nothing, you still in your pink shirt and you know, little tights and shit, and you ain't got your muscles out, and it ain't no good. You just uttering a phrase, but you ain't got shit from it. So that's what black power then become for a lot of people.
I done heard you describe various liberating themes on your channel, and I'm sure you heard me go in on economic control of your environment. Can you quote any other people within the conscious community where they define what the black power is? But, you know, outside of me or yourself, you know, anybody else that you can remember that maybe went in on a breakdown and explain what the black power is?
Yes. Nah, not really. People tried to, even when I called Sadnetta out on a debate about black power, saying black power needs its heroes and its villains. You know, he tried his best to try to say, but nobody really defines what it is. But what is power? That's why I said we don't even have to say black power. We could just say power. Power to be able to whoop somebody's ass. That's a thing. Power to be able to defend yourself with a gun. Power to be purchase power. You know what I'm saying? So all you do then is put it in the hands of black folks. Can we purchase shit? We ain't got no purchase power. We ain't got this type of power. We ain't got that type of power. Then you understand, well, that ain't really black power, because you blacks ain't got the power to do that. So no one defines it like that. Money is power. Knowledge is power. Institutions is power. Propaganda, powerful tool. Yeah. And stuff like that. And so when they talk about this stuff, once again, it's a dead ass check because they don't want to put the action behind it. You know, people observing what? You know, if you watch a debate, well, the information damn near ain't powerful most of the time. It ain't about your liberation. So the economics from it gave people power at one point where they look like they can make a change for themselves in the community. You know, you could go get some brand new clothes and floss on people a little bit, so you got a little spending power, but what you spending it on? Because, you know, and I know, as we talked about, people throwing these events and the equipment and the quality of the shit, the audio fucked up. You ain't powerful enough to get me a good visual and the audio live stream. You know what I'm saying? So what the fuck is your power at? You're getting economics, but you ain't even using it to empower your own self to get more economics. It's just, you know, people don't know what it is, because if it was, they would display it better.
Right. So that's the purpose of the video, was to give some legal definition, some standard definition, and then maybe just a little narrative, you know, for many who haven't seen mine. Actually, because I like that video pretty much, I think I'll pull that video up, because, you know, I'm always getting 1 or 2 new viewers from coming over from the channel, Carl. And I like to just show a video that I made a while back where I kind of
let me state this. I was at work yesterday and you was doing that video, and I was finna call somebody, and they told me when I called them, right before I called them, the video said, wait a sec. And they thought I was calling off the thing. And I was like, nah, I'm at work, man. I was like, oh, okay, shit, you telling me I'm on YouTube and I'm at work. I ain't even know.
Oh, yeah, I had to run a rerun on them to bring it back again. So, you know, I thought they hadn't really seen that You know, we did that debate on December 5th, 2015, Carl. That's when you uploaded that show.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of work over there. That's the thing that people fail to realize, that the archive is deep. You know, it's full of jewels and stuff over there. People weren't coming around that much, and they weren't mining, you know, the mine and digging stuff out. But hopefully people can go back in the archive. You know, if you on there, it ain't nothing to use the archive or whatever. Show people what we've been doing, because, you know, when I'm at work, I can't do it. So it's good to, you know, have that stuff still circulating and people seeing the work. We did it, hopefully not in vain.
No, yeah, we got to bring back Carl Albert back all over again. I had them tricked for about 2 hours, Carl. They was in the room, they thought it was live. They was like, the hell is going on? Till they realized, oh, he's running a rerun on. But okay, before I play this video, Blaqink, do you want me to play the video first? It's just a minute or two, or you want to speak?
I just wanted to drop that quote in on him so we can move on. This is Justice Roger B. Taney from the Dred Scott decision. And this is a famous quote in regards to the legal standing of the Negro. And it goes as follows. In the opinion of the court, the legislation and histories of the times and the language used in the Declaration of Independence show that neither the class of persons who had been imported as slaves nor their descendants, whether they had become free or not, were then acknowledged as a part of the people, nor intended to be included in the general words used in that memorable instrument. They had for more than a century before been regarded as beings of an inferior order and altogether unfit to associate with the white race, either in social or political relations, and so far inferior that they had no rights which the white man was bound to respect, and that the Negro might justly and lawfully be reduced to slavery for his benefit. And that's a direct quote from him regarding the standing legally of us at the time in 1857.
Yeah, I was able to pull it up, so I showed it while you was reading it. And hey, we got Rachel on the line. What it do?
Hey, what's up? You hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to say happy birthday to ID. I'm kind of trolling him a little bit.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, bro.
Yeah, appreciate. I'm in them 40s now. Ooh.
Oh man, your back should start hurting.
Okay, and I just had one quick question. I wanted to know individual belief in what to you can you respect that, because it seems like you want to strip it apart. I'm not really sure why.
Restate the question, not because your phone a little broke up a little bit.
Oh, okay, no, that's not my phone. Can you hear me clear now?
Yes.
Okay, it seems like you don't like Black Power. You're against it because you feel like there isn't one definition for it. And I'm like, what if there are several definitions for what Black Power is? Can you respect that?
You said I don't like Black Power?
Not just community, or is it Black Power itself?
I'm asking you saying that I don't like Black Power?
Yeah. I mean, you just like tore it apart right now, right?
I mean, I don't think I tore it apart. I mean, I gave we read out of legal dictionaries and out of Webster Dictionary. I did my commentary as to, I hear the quote, but never understand the meaning. I see them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What if there are several meanings for Black Power?
I would like to know.
What if Black Power to me was Fred Hampton being in that courtroom and, being able to defend himself legally and walking out? Like,
Yeah,
what if that's Black Power to me?
yeah, I would just like to know that that's what you mean. And then I can accept that because you have stated the meaning of something that you're saying. But when I ask people, well, what is Black Power? They just look at me like I'm speaking Chinese. I'm not saying that a definition has to be the definition. I'm saying if you're going to make a chant, if you're going to rep something over and over and over and over, could you please define it so that I understand why we're gathered here today? Does that make sense?
I guess, but like I said, every person you ask, they'll have a different opinion on what it means to them.
Okay, so do you think that that the 1960s was Black Power?
The Panthers are my Black Power.
Okay, so
That's what Black Power means.
okay, so now and trust me, you know, I didn't interview Black Panthers from the 60s. So I had deep discussions in the interviews, and I got it all on film. And I wasn't in any disagreement about the movement that they was trying to accomplish, because from the interview, I was aware that they had a serious problem with police brutality, right?
Correct.
So they did what they could to set up some sort of defense to the issue. And they were able to mobilize Black folks from all over the region, right? My personal neighborhood had original members walking down the street when I was growing up. I know them and grew up with them because I'm from California. So the main events were happening not far from where I was. And one of the oldest Black Power offices still reside in Los Angeles today. That, you know, one of the older chapters, which I grew up passing that and going to those facilities off Crenshaw all my life. So I'm not one who would say, oh, that's not power because of this or because of that. But if I ask them, what was you trying to accomplish? They say, we was trying to accomplish to stop police brutality. That was what the movement was based upon. I said,
Right,
oh,
and the
okay.
10-point program.
Yeah, so, and yeah, they of course, it's a little more added to it. That wasn't just the only problem, but apparently they was trying to solve the issue of the day, right? So now on the other side of the fence, you had Islam pushing to build a nation. You had Martin Luther King pushing for integration, right? So when I was young, I really didn't understand the differences in the ideologies. I just seen Black folks that apparently love Black people. That's all I seen. So I grew older to understand paradigms. And then when I started to understand the paradigms, I started to scratch my head because the paradigms didn't lead us to my understanding of what Black Power was. So I set out to find out who was building us some Black Power. I found Marcus Garvey. I found Booker T. Washington. I tended to understand they built real power in the aspect of what the end result of the narrative was. And so industries and organizations swelled behind it, and it was really, really damaging to the opposing view. Really damaging, to where they brought the heat out, just like they did with the Black Panthers. What they was doing was damaging what was going on in their infrastructures, right? So because of the Panthers, they instituted the drug game into our community to devastate the community. And so I lived in a community that was Black, and then we lost it. Now my community is Mexican Americans and Mexican immigrants by majority. And How did we lose our community? We lost the land. We lost the power of the businesses. And so I realized that true power was looking at those who controlled their environment. So now I have to seek for the realest Black power I could find. And I found that in Booker T. Washington's exemplary life, where when he was done with the message, had an industry, he had a college, he was developing towns, and there is nothing halfway near what he accomplished. So now I said, let me reinstitute the real proper direction. Do you agree or disagree that that building organizations and industries would be the greatest form of power?
I do agree, but Black people are broke. So in order for them, to build these organizations, we need reparations. And we also need to visit the 14th Amendment.
Booker
to
T. Washington.
hold on.
I'm saying Booker T.
Yeah,
Washington.
I get Booker T. Washington. Yes, build it for yourself. Build towns, build businesses. Yes.
No, he didn't get no reparations. So he built Black Wall Street and others. They didn't get no reparations.
He got grants though. He didn't just have the money. He got grants.
No, he didn't get no grant.
Somebody funded him. Somebody funded Booker T. Washington.
What you need to do is go find out how he got the money, and then come on here with a proper understanding so you can put it there.
I know he was funded. Are you saying he funded?
I said how did he didn't? I said that he didn't get no reparations, and yet he accomplished his goal, and he didn't get no grants.
But he got funded. And that's how he accomplished his goal.
Huh?
I don't want to be combative, like, cause I see you moving around. I don't want to be combative. We're not taking it personal.
It's not about being combative. It's about you needing to open up your mind beyond what you already have accepted, because it's apparent that you understand the Panther era, and you find an affinity to that. And I don't have anything against
Booker T. Washington. Where did he get the funds from to
educated himself and others to build industry?
Wait,
listen, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm not afraid. That brought around businessmen who understood what he was doing, and then in turn they funded his ideas.
Okay. But so all I'm saying is reparations would fund exactly what you're talking about. And you moving around like it's not owed to us, like you ashamed of it or something like that. Like we're Black people are owed the reparations. So look at your people, they're poor, devastated, gentrified. Everything is happening to your people.
You think I wouldn't be ready to collect some money if the government said we're gonna give you reparations? I'll be the first one standing in line talking about, let me get that.
So that's what we need to be focusing on, I think. Well, I think we need to be focused on getting them to bring that bill to the floor.
That's
the 14th
why
Amendment that says a Black man is a slave while he's in prison. We need to get rid of that.
That's why
that will help in mass incarceration. See,
that's why
before we get to the STEM, like those are basic things, because if our rights are being violated, we can't even get to the STEM. We're getting killed before we get to the STEM.
Okay, that's why you should go sit down in a corner somewhere and for about a year, put that paradigm together. I give you the platform and I'll let you speak all month and explain to us how to do it. That's what we waiting on, for you to go learn whatever method and then come back and teach it to us. And if the shit makes sense, I'm the first one to jump aboard with you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Peace to the chat. Peace to the panel. I see Lex Vortex in the square. Rachel Ann, nothing but love, sis. What we're trying to do with the theme of this show was not so much tear down, because we're moving in a different direction towards building and creating. So the gist of the show was to define both in the regular dictionary and in the Black's Law Dictionary what is Black and what is power, and to dig deeper so we could build from a solid foundation of what it means, both socially, common understanding and language, and legally in the court of law in terms of standing. And I'm right there with you. when you talk about the reparations, but we got to build the case first and then fight the uphill battle of those legislators who would not, they would rather die than sign a piece of paper to give any black people a penny.
Let me let Lex Vortex add some comment.
Anybody hear me?
We can hear you clearly. And Aaron, you can, I mean, Ray, you can come back as well after he speaks.
You know, it's been said, I told you Black Power was dead. Hey, listen, man. You know, I find it interesting that you know, we're still using the term Black Power after I told you Black Power was dead. It's funny, like when you look at a corporation, right? There was a club close to where I live or whatever, right? After that, club got shut up, shut down because it was you know, they got shot up a few times. You know what I'm saying? They had to shut down. And so open, of course, when they put a sign up that said the club was open and or whatever, you know, it was the same, actually the same company, label. So they reopened the spot under a different name. It was Club such and such. Now they came back. It was Club such and such with a new label. They put a little trimmings around it. They changed the, you know, the look of the club a little bit, whatever. But I say that is, you know, we're still not moving into the future in terms of the way, you know, thinks about certain things. You know what I mean? So now Black Power needs to at least be under a different name. You know what I'm saying? To blend in with the new corporate structure and be in the future. Ask, you know what I'm saying, that stigma of afros pumping the fist, or like, you know, even the stuff associated with Kill Whitey, and you know what I'm saying, all this stuff that Black Power is associated with it, good and bad. And so it's just like, now I heard you talk about Alice Bailey before, right? And you remember that she started Lucifer's Trust, you know, whatever, worshiping Satanists and all of this. Like, when the public found out about it, they couldn't swallow it. So what they did, they changed it to Lucis Trust. You see what I'm saying? A lot of Planned Parenthood could very well be called Baby Killer Association. But they're a little smarter than that. They call it Planned Parenthood. To get on the level where be a little smarter. You know what I'm saying? Black Power to me is just so obviously, I say racist, I don't mean like your typical racist, but it's race-based. It's, you know, all those connotations with all the different factions, whether you're talking about Booker T, Marcus Garvey, or Khalid Muhammad. I think, you know, get a new name, a new banner to operate under, moving on in the future. That's what I say. You know,
Okay,
everyone
so
I very Black Power.
Hold on, Carl, you got a bad echo. Okay, let me say this to you, like, what I call it is Pan-Africanism, and I don't necessarily use the term Black Power in any aspect like that. It's just Pan-Africanism, which is the economic upliftment of Black people and the cultural upliftment. That's Pan-Africanism. That was how it began. See, the Black Power movement was associated to a different ideology in the 60s. That was for those who chose for socialism, Marxism, communism, and scientific method. That statement went to that group, and the emblem was a black power fist, which has a history associated to socialist ideas going all the way back to the Hollywood 10 in the 40s, going back to Germany, Hitler, various organizations who had socialist ideas used the fist. In one fist, if it was white, it was representative of white power. And so they took the fist, made it black, and made it black power, and had the same ideological ideas. But they wanted to use those ideas to empower black people. Same way in the 20s, we had the Blood Brotherhood, who also was a black power group. And they were also socialists, even though some would say, I read books where they were crypto nationalists, but yet publicly they were socialists. And they were all journalists. And they went hard in the paint, just like the Black Panthers did for their time period, and got shut down by the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, right? So that idea is associated to those who desire or are empowered, like Rachel, from the ideas of the 60s. I have no problem with the group wanting to be empowered from that. My idea for them is simply define it so that we could get to that definition, and we could build the organizations to travel down the road to reach that destination. Because when I say Pan-Africanism and I go look up to those who established the idea, I can get the written word of what they had in mind that they associated to the term Pan-African. Now we have a new group themselves to that. Go ahead, Carl. Maybe I need to mute mine.
Yeah, what happened is, as the sister says, many definitions and people use it many different ways. But that's when you have to do a layout of what it is that a powerful punch is a powerful punch. A powerful kick is a powerful kick. Both of them carry the word powerful or power in it, but one's a kick, one's a punch. Now, when you say black compared to brown, yellow, white, or whatever, that whole thing is, like I said, that is a race pride thing. The people say, well, I'm the white race, I'm the yellow race, I'm the brown race, and I'm whatever. So they created racism, they created the color system and things of that nature. So just like you say with the dictionary and words and stuff, if you go into their arena and you trying to have a conversation with them and they using the terms black and white, then you should be able to work within those boundaries and still win the game. Work within those rules and regulations and still win the game. So black people, when they say black power, they don't define it exactly what it is. They don't get a memorandum or memo or tell people, well, my black power is economics. I'm more in that arena. Or my black power is more in the arena of politics. Or my black power is more into culture and bringing about this culture awareness and stuff of that nature. Because all three of those dealing with black nationalism is three different components that is powerful in itself. If you have one, would it topple the other? Would it bring the other one into, will it manifest the other into the community? Which one would you want if you prioritize? Do we get the money first, or do we get the politics first, or do we get the culture and things of that nature? So that's what the black power community of today, or movement of today, lacks. They lack leadership and direction. When you deal with the Panthers, as the sister said, and other people do agree that the black power was carried by the Panthers a little bit. They had the 10-point plan. That's look, we trying to do this, and they had it pointed out what it was and what they was trying to accomplish with it, and their viewpoints. Well, that's your mode of operations. That's what everybody got to have. So politically, you got to give your mode of operations, socially and economic. This is what we trying to do. So like when you say black power, You focus more on the economics because as you said, you seen how the lack of economics and being able to keep the buildings or keep the land. As you hear other people in the community say, well, shit, my mother or grandmother died and lost the house and this and that, and we couldn't keep the land and the money, and you know, people weren't passing down houses and legacies and, you know, things of that nature. So that's all one has to do. You have to explain yourself, and that's what people having a big problem do. They take in other people's ideas, they not amalgamating it into themselves, right? And they not bringing it in properly, and then they not defining what the hell they doing. They just quoting once again the term. So Lex said Black Power is dead. To a degree, I agree. But I believe Black Power can be resurrected, because what it was, what it became before it died off, right? You have to go back to the essence and then resurrect it. You have to go get the essence up out of the ground, because if we're using the figurative language saying dead, when something dies, it disintegrates and go back to its essence. So like man, he was created from the dust, so dust he returned. So Black Power was created from something, and when all the bullshit got added to it and it died, it went back to what? So now if you want to resurrect it, you know, I deal with the celestial and terrestrial, earthly, celestial, you know, a whole nother level. So if you bring Black Power back, you got to bring a celestial, more spiritual aspect, because even the Panthers, what was they at first? They was atheists and shit. They really didn't want to deal with God. So when Khalil Muhammad came in, he brought more of the blackness in, and he brought a spiritual aspect to it that it didn't have before. And when you see, I'm gonna just say this, when you see it today, they trying to kill the God or the spiritual aspect out of it. Therefore, the shit is dead and they need a resurrection.
Would you like to respond, Rachel? Just unmute your mic. Okay, I don't know if she. What about yourself, Vortex?
You know, you know, the conversation is kind of getting old, honestly. I think Black people are already freer than they believe. Have these conversations about, you know, Black Power and stuff. It sounds like we're still living, saying those times to me. And I think that, you know, we've accomplished everything that we're trying. We're just so stuck in a certain paradigm that we don't even realize it. Like, everything we need is already in place. Okay, Black Power, control of the economics in your environment. Place, there's really nothing stopping that from happening but the moves of our people. There's nobody standing around and you or telling you what to buy here, or we have total freedom to control that. Now, whether we do it or not, that means what the ancestors, for lack of a better word, were fighting for that position. So we're not fighting to get it anymore. But I think people don't realize that we're actually still stuck in a time period where we already have it. Everything that everybody wants, we have already. When Christ said, ask whatever you ask for in my name, believe that you have received it already and you shall have it. But it's like people are still acting like we're fighting Jim Crow or something. Fighting,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everything we want to do, we already have the power.
Say it again, Rachel.
I said we are still fighting Jim Crow. There's still redlining and housing. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's redlining and housing. Segregated schools. What about that?
Jim Crow.
Excuse me?
You believe that we're still fighting Jim Crow?
Yes.
To in another
Not
way.
to the degree that, not to the degree that they were fighting it back then, but yeah, there's still redlining, there's still discrimination, and there's still policies in place
Well,
for
there's
black
something
people
called the new
only.
Jim Crow. So it might not be the exact same thing, but it's a newer version and this and that. Is people that wrote books on it and stuff. That's an argument within itself. But if you say the new Jim Crow don't exist and it's not equivalent to the old and
Yeah, let's
this
live in
matter,
this
whatever,
world.
that's
Let's live in this
another thing.
world. I don't know what world we live in.
But
You
let's
don't
address.
white supremacy. You don't believe in oppression. I don't know what world we live in.
Nah. Number one, let's not fall into the trick bag of trying to have vain conversation and shit being put out there just to keep an argument or a conversation up. He said we
No, it's
already
not.
got it. He said we
He
already
says
got it.
this. Lex states this. Do you not, Lex? You stated
Yeah, I
on
mean,
your
I know
own
how
show.
to get down.
On your
So
own show, you
that's
do
what
it.
I'm saying. I don't want to fall into a Lex trap where he throws some shit out there and put it out there in a certain manner. And then it's like, well, we talking about this shit, and it don't make sense to even be having a conversation.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So now I'm just saying that we should Is that whose mic is that? Because I do hear.
That's mine.
Okay, I just wanted to say that we should revisit the 14th Amendment. I'm gonna keep saying that because that clause states that when a black man goes to jail, he's a slave. So that means no due process. You know, anything could happen to you while you're in there. You get
Doesn't
lost in the
say
system.
when a black man goes to jail, he's just show. Where's that at? That part at when it says if a black man goes to jail,
It don't state that in there. So that's what I'm saying. Once again, trying to get
It does say that.
every. It don't say it in those words. So then, if you go in there and say it do say it, then that's based up on interpretation, and one could say that's not or that is, and then that go once again. That's the vain argument. So the thing is,
But that no, it's not a vain argument. That is what the 14th Amendment states.
pull it up.
Everybody knows it. You could go.
it literally states when black people go to jail. If it don't say that literally, then you just fall
It was
into
referring to free. It was referring to
right.
the,
It don't say
freedom of
it. It
slaves.
refers it. It doesn't
It
say
refers.
it.
It was referring
It
to black
just the term you just
descendants
used.
of slaves is what it was referring to.
Right. The term you
Descendants
just
of
used.
slaves. And it says that you are free
Use cause that
with the
problem
exception of you being
trying to
in
create.
prison. Yeah, locked up. You're a slave. That's what it says.
Okay.
That anybody in prison is subject to the 14th Amendment, whether black, white, brown, or yellow. That's my understanding. So it's not. It doesn't say. It's not nothing that's specific in the law to black people that says,
Why
well,
was the
if you're
14th
black
Amendment written?
and you go to prison, then you're a slave. But so if you're so you're telling me if you're Chinese and you go to prison that you're free, you're not under that same law?
Okay,
No.
I have the law.
Well, see, that's why we have a disconnect in some places, you know. But you know, like I said.
Okay, so let me ask Rachel, what section are you referring to? Is I have
14th Amendment.
I have the amendment set up. You want me to just read through it in a speed read and find what you're talking about? Because we like to get to the facts. So if you're making this claim, I understand is like Carl that you see that. So I'm pulling it up so we can get to the bottom of it. And I'll read it. It says all persons born naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof and a citizen of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges of immunity of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, or deny any person within its jurisdictions the equal protection of the law. Representatives shall be appropriated among several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of a person in each state, including Indians not taxed. But when the rights to vote at any election of the choice of the elector for the president or vice president of the United States, representatives in Congress, the executive or judicial office of state, or a member of the legislature thereof is denied any of the male inhabitants of such state, being 21 years of age, a citizen of the United States, or in any way abridged, except by participation in rebellion or other crimes, the basis of the representation therein shall be reduced in the proportion which the number of such male citizens shall be the whole number of the male citizens 21 years of age in such states. I mean, I can keep reading them all, unless you are aware of what you're stating and you know where to pinpoint us.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm looking for it now.
I would say ID ran off. He doesn't like when he loses control over a conversation. But I think this is the most important part of a conversation, because what I'm black people with is their approach and how they continue to mentally imprison themselves with their outlooks. It's not about escapism or saying this doesn't exist, this doesn't. But I know damn well it doesn't say black people in the 14th Amendment. I know it doesn't say that. So I don't, we can read it all day.
It doesn't say
But
black people. It was referring to the descendants of slaves. I'm saying black people, but it was referring to the descendants of slaves.
Okay, Rachel,
that's why we're American citizens today.
Rachel,
right?
Does that apply? Like, let's say a white person goes to jail, are they a slave?
Who was that amended for?
It does apply. If they both gonna be.
Who was it amended for? That's all I'm asking. Who was it? Why was it amended? Who was it amended for?
I mean, either you're gonna answer questions or you're just gonna keep trying to drive your point. The question is, if it happens to a white person, does that apply for them? Do they become a slave? You can unmute your mic if you want to answer it.
Does a white person have due process? Let's look at the data, right? If you look at the data, you look at the statistics in different cases, put African Americans up against white Americans.
Okay, so what you're saying is if black and white person go to jail under the same charge, that the white person will get due process, but the black person will not get due process.
More often so, that's what the data will show.
The issues. See, listen, sister, please.
No, it's not, but that's what I'm saying.
Hold on, y'all cannot talk over each other. Y'all got to learn how to go. Bally, go ahead.
The issue. You're saying most of the time that a white person will get due process and a black person won't. The law, everyone's supposed to get due process. If you didn't get due process, there wouldn't even be a trial. They throw you in there, that'll be it. They can pronounce you guilty. Everyone who gets arrested gets due process. A person who got arrested and just pronounced guilty on the spot and thrown in jail, let me know. Now, whether you deal with if we deal with a courtroom that maybe have a bunch of white racists in it, and let's say they might do something underhanded or this and that. But to say that black people don't get due process because there are black judges who are not denying black people due process. There are black attorney generals, and there are all type of people participating in the court system. So that's what I mean when we create this illusion we're not getting due process. That's when I think we're stuck in a time zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody is just getting caught on the side of the road and being, you know what I'm saying, judgment being upon them and just being thrown in jail without due process. We're not living in those times. And I think to bring us back to those times would actually be to dishonor the civil rights movement and the people who died. And we already where we want to be. It's getting enforced. But don't bring us back like we ain't made no hating, like people, like we ain't got nowhere, like we're still living in the 1930s and you ain't getting due process. We sitting right here and on YouTube having all type of conversations. You got people talking about bang on the beast, kill the cracker. Nobody coming knocking down their door. That's because they have the freedom of speech in the Constitution. So don't bring me back to a time and tell me I ain't got nowhere. Died for nothing. The Martin Luther King got shot, but we just got nowhere. Jim Crow. Man, that's ridiculous, man. We got to give ourselves even more credit than that. We have got somewhere. It's not being enforced, the law that's written on paper, then that's another issue. Because if you were a cop, you could pull a white person over and break all kind of constitutional laws. Hit nothing, step outside the car. Why, officer? Because I said so. Step outside the car. You could do that too. So that's another issue in terms of reaching person to follow what is written on paper. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about in paradigm, just like when we talk about the economics. We already have the economic power. We spend 10 billion or more a year on nonsense. So what I'm trying to say is we got to give ourselves more freedom of mind. There's nobody standing around with AK-47s from controlling our neighborhoods. Let's not take ourselves that far back, is what I'm saying.
Now, let me add this to your understanding real quick, and I'll let whoever wants to speak. See, the thing is that currently we have different pockets of groups of people in every community. One is Chinatown. We definitely have the Jews, and then we just have the suburban white folks, and then we got the ghetto blacks. That's how shit's set up, right? So they're all using a format. Now, I personally did a show called the Model Citizen. This is a complete study program in any college. You can take a study program on the Model Citizen. Currently, the Asian is that Model Citizen group, and they, by numbers, on average, have a higher income bracket than white folks. Now, why is that? That is because they are following a blueprint called the STEM. When we look at what Asians go and study and do, they don't go work for white folks. They damn sure don't go work for black folks. No, they work for themselves. They set up businesses in the hood and sell you all the goods. They teach their children other languages. They teach their children computer science, coding, technology, engineering, and so forth and the likes. And they make sure that they raise up a nation that's technologically advanced. This is why China is on point, why they have nuclear missiles and a strong military and a strong economy, because they are following a blueprint. So when I try to tell you, that's power for them. And Zionism is even colder than that. I did a show showing you the new Silicon Valley is located in Israel. And they are following a blueprint called the STEM. America holds shit down because we have the coldest nuclear missile defense system, and some of the greatest colleges, and among those great colleges is MIT, which is a STEM-based college. And one of our coldest communities is Silicon Valley, which is a STEM community. So you can't look at all this shit around you dominating you and then start talking nonsense about that's not the way. It's working for them. But the thing about that is we was doing that in Black Wall Street. We was doing that at Tuskegee. We was doing that under Marcus Garvey. They even doing it in a portion under the Nation of Islam. A small portion, they operating like that. So if we only retrain the narrative that we're talking about in the consciousness and start telling people, go get a goddamn technological education for yourself and for your children in more majority. The Mexicans stand out in front of Home Depot with, they ain't even a citizen, and they employ themselves with these techniques. And then they come cut your yard, build your houses, fix your cars, all that shit STEM. And we used to do that. $1 billion industry is the lawn business, but Black folks got to go work for Walmart for $10 instead of just going in Walmart and buy a lawnmower and make $300 a day, because they don't want to do that. They don't know how to do that because they don't got no education based on STEM. So I did the figures. 20% of the 40 million Black people in this country that will actually go to college, in the position to go, 20% of them is what goes from our community. Among that 20%, very few are getting educations in the STEM field. Among the whole nation, 1% of all Americans, all 350 million, got a PhD in STEM. Where does all of that come from? India, China, Taiwan, all of that shit. That's where they go. When we fight wars, who do those countries want to capture? They want to capture the nuclear scientists, the mathematicians, because those people are educated in the STEM, and you can't win a war without the STEM. So that is not what they were teaching for the last goddamn 80 years, since they threw us off course. Go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say I apologize to everybody. It's the 13th Amendment. I've been saying the 14th Amendment all day. And it was regarding to slave labor, and it says the U.S. Constitution bans slavery except for prisoners. Okay, it says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. Okay, I don't need to go any further than there because that's the point I was just trying to prove.
So that
and I was just trying to say that they use that. You could say it applies to all prisoners, but then you look at the complexion of the people in the prisons.
So that has to do with.
Go ahead, Lex.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Agree with you about the STEM. That proves my point about viewpoint and paradigm. People who understand STEM changes their status, changes their value, changes their contribution. But you can't get to STEM when you got people who believe the consciousness of being on a plantation. How you gonna get to STEM when people still think they you know what I'm saying, they still fighting Jim Crow, bro? This is not a knock to anyone. You see what I'm saying? Like, how we gonna get to STEM when you still got a people with a consciousness, you know what I'm saying, like that white people dominate their reality still.
You take
you
a
see what I'm saying?
bus,
and this is why, huh?
You take a big giant bus with computers on it, and you drive it to a preschool, and you show it to them.
That's what I'm saying. You can get the children. That's what I'm saying. But we got to protect the children from these types of philosophies too. Because you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So a lot of people just I can't. Maybe it's just a generational gap, and some people just caught up in white dominance and stuff like that. And so no matter what you tell them, they don't understand.
White dominance. Look around you. You got to be a fool to not be able to look around you and see what's going on. What power do Black people have as far as political power? What power do we have? That's where we need the power at.
You got the power to decide what your child will be educated with.
But we talk about to affect the masses. You talking about individual. Like I'm
Fastest.
down with your program. You know, I signed up for the studios. You know, I signed up. I'm down because that's gonna be individual improvement. But if are we talking about on a massive level? You know what I'm saying? Bringing along black people. Are we talking about a small group of people? Just okay,
Talking about, we talk about 80% of us that don't go to college. Teach them, promote to them to go train yourself in a technical trade. You don't need college for that, to go be an electrician or a plumber or some simple shit like that. That'll make you 100,000. Stop training them up to be rappers and sports players. Every black woman and black man I know can't wait to take their kid to football practice. Can't wait to take their kid to basketball practice. I understand we need a little sports. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying take their ass down to a science building and let them see some shit. Take them down to influence our community. You can only affect the ones you got control of. If you got the message, teach it to the people you can affect. And you damn sure can't save the whole. But as we do that, the message will go out greater and greater. Promote Booker T. Let him be known like you talking about Fred Hampton. Let him be known like they talk about Martin Luther King, so that people can go look into his history and say, well, why are we focusing on him? And then when you read it, you realize he giving you the blueprint of black power. Or
right,
Asian power, or white power, or anybody that follow the blueprint gonna create power. Period. Whatever color you are.
This is what I want to say, just to prove, about perspective and reality. If Rachel asked about political power, there's white dominance in political power. I would love to know how many votes there was in, let's just say, the presidential election. I think there's about 1 million black people, and so here's where your political power is. Out of 50 million, 25 million are even just like eligible voter age. Out of that 25 million, I wonder how many of those votes and how many political parties have been organized. No one is stopping you from organizing a political, body. So when you ask the question, well, look, when you face reality, we don't have this power and that power. No one is doing anything to you. No one is stopping you from organizing a political body. But the fact that you still have an outlook that says we don't have any power, this is what stops us from being able to see clearly and move and do what we have to do. It's perception determines your reality. When you talk about economic power, the Nazis are not sitting around ports saying that you can't ship nothing in from China or whatever and telling you where you can go buy this and buy this. You have the 10th ranked buying power in the world. In the world. You'd be the 10th richest country in the world, but you want to tell me that you are under some type of oppression? Well, that's the richest slave I ever seen in my life. The 10th ranked buying power in the world. That means if we all left the country, we'd be the 10th most powerful country by ourselves.
If we got all this buying power, how come we are the lowest in home ownership?
Understand how it's our viewpoint, perspective,
we don't have any assets
that determines your reality. So nobody's doing it to you. We're doing it to ourselves. So if you look at the buying power, you want to talk about, well, what you choose to do with your money again is, for instance, I think we spend a couple of billion on Christmas every year. I think black women spend $5 billion on weave or something ridiculous. I don't know how much we spend on Nikes and weed and whatever it is. So there's no system that controls your economic flow. That is not white people's fault. It's fault. But if you knew your buying power and knew what you could do, and you wasn't still living in 1960, everyone would know Everyone else in the world knows it. You don't think the economists look at the statistics? People are the 10th richest nation in the world. Do is market and advertise to take what you already have. When they hear you talking about things like yo oppressed and all this, when they know they're spending all their marketing and advertisement to just get your dollars. If you was poor, then why are they spending millions of dollars to market to you?
Because they know you're going to spend money you don't have on their products.
You can't spend money you don't have.
Yes, we do. That's what we do as black people. We spend money we don't have every single day.
All right, so who's forcing you to do that?
Nobody's forcing me to do that. I'm just saying. Credit cards.
So then whose problem
easy
is
money.
You just said, so how, if no one's forcing you to do it, then you would have to say it's our problem. It has nothing to do, part of it has nothing to do with white supremacy. Let me tell you what white supremacy would come in.
White supremacy comes in with the redlining in the housing that I mentioned, and the legislative system, programs like ALEC, right?
No, outside of that.
Okay. Country Southern Law Center, places like that. Like those are the organizations.
Hold on a second. One second.
I don't want to mute y'all mic. Just let people
give you an example. Let me give you an example of a white survival mechanism problem, because I don't like using the term. Yes, white survival mechanism problem. We get together and then the 10 billion, 20 billion a year and say we develop some type of economic system. Say, okay, we're all going to start banking with United Bank, or One United Bank, a black bank or something. Here, it's money, and they turn it to 100 billion a year. Now we are an investment power. Just say even One United Bank becomes a investment power on a global scale. Now you have a white supremacy problem, and this is a good problem, because now you might have other corporations that try to block able to take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? From buying the oil in Africa or competing for the diamond mines in Africa and stuff. Now you got war problems. Once you get to that level.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you were talking about why they market to us. Why do you think they market to black people? And I was just making the point that we'll spend money we don't have. And that's true, and everybody knows that. Like, we got $30, we'll just go and shop, and we could, instead of taking that and putting it in a portfolio, we may say, I'm gonna take that $30 and buy a pair of jeans or whatever it may be, instead of saving.
All right, so you're spending money you don't have. No one is forcing you to do that. Fighting Jim Crow. That's fighting something going on in your own mind.
Jim Crow in the same thing, and that's what you like to do. Nobody was relating Jim Crow to what you were just saying. You just mentioned our shopping power, and my response to you was that we spend money we don't have. You tripping me up because I don't like, if I'm talking to you, talk plain to me. Don't try to double talk. Right, Pit Boss? Isn't that the double speak?
I'm double talking. So
get him, Rachel.
Let me ask you straight up so you don't get it twisted. White people forcing black people to spend money that they don't have. There's no double talk there.
Okay, let's say this. Let me add this
question
to kind of complement what both you are saying. One thing that they do is they create think tanks. They analyze your behavior, and then they create circumstances to lead you where they want you to be. So if they want you to spend your excess money, they will give you rappers and let they ass wear all the shit you want so that you'll do it. They will engage you in such a way to control your actions, and they know how to do it. So if they decide currently that you know, they want you to accept killing your babies, they'll start populating Planned Parenthood. They'll start putting out various propaganda to make you say, yeah, I'm down to do that. And now all of a sudden in the Black community, we got the highest abortion rate. But we're put in a position where some women feel like, shit, I gotta do it because I can't afford this baby. So they put you under certain conditions to create the outcome. They don't forcibly say, do this, do that. They just create the environment that will produce the outcome. They didn't make anybody sell crack either. But once it flooded your neighborhood and then know that there was no jobs, the likely outcome is that you would sell it to provide yourself a means to eat and creating the outcome that they wanted. Any response? We got Blaqink, what you think, quietly on the background there. You can jump in anytime you like, brother. I know you don't want another wrap off.
Yeah, okay, I'm falling for the bait now. Hey, peace to Lex. Peace to Sis.
Peace.
I like how, Lex, you brought it to the economics of the situation because, you know, that's basically what we're pushing by STEM. And as we speak, I think I'm going to just go outside and show STEM in action. Not to change the subject, though, because I think we started off on a define our terms. Now, I want everybody to know that the defining of terms concept came from Brother Lex Vortex. Yes, I'm going to give credit where it's due. And then also the concept of making everything a teachable moment. Got that from you too, Brother Lex. So let me see. I'm going to turn the camera around and show a little STEM in action, a little commercial about George Washington Carver techniques of soil rotation. Okay, so here we go. Here we go.
I want to give a shout out to all those that have a lot of hate in their hearts. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that hate from you and you'll learn how to love. Man, I send you all the best. It's too bad you're being tormented from the inside out. Go ahead, Blaqink.
Okay, so I think when the microphone is activated, you can see the visuals, correct? You see those greens?
Beautiful.
I remember the, hello? Okay, I remember back in the day, Sonetter had this little commercial talking about, did you get your greens today? And they had some like little powder they put in the water and it was green powder. Well, these are the real greens. These are the collards. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is regular soil right here. I just put these in the ground because I had so many sprouts, right? And you see them up there in those rows. But this over here used to be compost. And I planted them all at the same time. Do you see the difference between that and that? I mean, I could cut some of these right now and take them in and clean them, but I want to see how big they're going to grow up in the valley of the Jolly Green Giant. I mean, you see how small that is? You see how big that is? Okay, I'm done. That's STEM in action. Got the peppers over here. See, they're starting to blossom. Okay, okay. Oh, look, there's a couple of tomatoes. Anyway, and that's it, y'all. STEM in action, George Washington Carver, Booker T. That's how we be.
Well, there you have it.
Hey, that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Deny that. That's STEM in action. I mean, my first degree was in computer networking. So, you know what I'm saying? I've been dealing with computer science. First degree was an associate's degree in computer science, applied science. You know what I'm saying? I'm Net Plus and A Plus certified. Been dealing with computers and technology for over 10 years. Server administration, you know what I'm saying, all type of stuff. So I know a little something about technology and the importance of technology. You see what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying, I even used to volunteer to local places to help kids get into technology. You know, and I a couple of years ago, even when you talk about the Armored Raw Monkey Squad, they talk about technology, and they wasn't talking about that. That's something I had to implant in Ark's head. So then they changed their thing because I kept saying technology, technology, technology. And so before they was just into history and archaeology and all this stuff, and technology into Monkey Boy's head. And so then they switched to that thing. Very important that we, we're in the technological age. You know what I mean? I always stress that, and no matter what it is. Now with the, I see a lot of people talking about getting back to agriculture, but what's really coming to, I mean, the truth is, even agriculture is just, whether you like it or not, people don't like it. Technical, it's just becoming ones and zeros, manipulated. You know what I'm saying? Crops and I know people want to keep uphold the natural way, but it's just not going to happen. Pretty soon, it's all going to be genetically modified, and we just got to go into the future with what's happening. Instead of talking about, this is an example of what I mean. Like a lot of people talking about Monsanto and genetically modified food, right? So instead of somebody going, well, let me see how to go do this and manipulate this crop, you know what I'm saying, and genetically modify these carrots or whatever, we just fight against it. And some of us might want to, that could be part of the STEM. Like, let's go find out what they're doing and how to, maybe we can manipulate it in a way where it doesn't hurt and we can mass produce food, genetics of a plant without causing the harm. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I think. A lot of attention needs to be put on technology. And today, if you are valuable technically, you will be rewarded no matter what you are. So right now, what's happening is, even in the when we talk about social Darwinism, right, is taking place. When something begins to die, it begins to fight harder. Is a race dying. I'm gonna just keep it real. That is not looking to move into the future. Like, you got a lot of our people talking about 2017 virtual reality, you know what I'm saying, all type of stuff, artificial intelligence, and you got people talking about we got to get back to nature and breathe. Back to nature. We're not getting back to you living off the land and running around free in a you know what I'm saying, in a bush apron, living off the grid and all that. You're a dying breed. So 100 years from now, those that like, you still got some tribal people, right, that's still living like that. They don't even interact with the outside people. You still got, but how long are they? But their numbers are very small now. Their numbers are going to get smaller. And so those who reject, there's a good book everyone should read. It's called Future Shock. At the evolutionary process, not in a way that, the Monkey Squad might present it. People are not able to adapt, and they're rejecting, just like your grandmother says, I ain't got time to fool with that cell phone. Old phone, I can pick up and dial the numbers. You see what I'm saying? Or I ain't got time. That's what we're doing. A lot of us are doing that as a people. To the future, they're talking about a cashless society and going into outer space and all of this stuff, and we're still talking about Jim Crow. You see what I'm saying? And slavery, and we got to get our economic power together, and we have every tool we need. Invented nothing for the future. So to me, I think social Darwinism, a species is dying and it's on its last leg trying to fight, but it don't understand where the fight is. The fight is STEM.
What's your answer?
There's no
Okay, so
question
what's your
about it.
answer? Because I know Pitt Boys about STEM, right? So what would Lex do? And straight out, no going in circles, just straight out, a real plan. Because I brought you amending the 13th Amendment. I kept saying 14, but it's the 13th. Amending that law and suing for reparations. And those are two action plans. So I want to know what Lex Vortex would do precisely to solve the situation. And I'm muting my mic.
Okay,
Which aspect
pardon me.
of the situation?
Please pardon me, Lex. I'm sorry, brother. Whew. Can I exhale like Whitney Houston? in the movie. Can you give me like 2 minutes, Lex, and I'll make it pertinent. Before we go into full-blown takeover mode, I just wanted to like squeeze in the 14th Amendment to clarify what Rachel Ann had presented earlier, because it applies here to exactly what Lex just mentioned in terms of Jim Crow. So if y'all give me a couple minutes, and Lex, don't forget her question. Rachel Ann, be patient. Pit Boss, I see you back there. Hold on, be strong. Here we go. So the most famous 14th Amendment cases were Plessy versus Ferguson, and which was overturned by Brown versus Board of Education. We all know about that, Brown versus Board of Education. So let's review Plessy versus Ferguson, which established Jim Crow or Black Code laws. Okay, definition. And I'm referring to the Cornell University Law School Legal Information Institute online. Okay, Plessy v. Ferguson, 1896, definition. The Supreme Court case, since overturned by Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, which upheld the constitutionality of, quote, separate but equal facilities, end quote, based on race. So I'm going to skip down to the decision and says, the Supreme Court, well, okay, I'm sorry. Let's hit it right. Louisiana had adopted a law in 1890 that required railroad companies to provide racially segregated accommodations. In 1892, the state of Louisiana prosecuted Plessy, a man who was 7/8 Caucasian and 1/8 Black. How they measured that, I don't know, but it's here in the legal document. So they prosecuted him for refusing to leave a passenger car designated for whites. All right. The Supreme Court, in an opinion written by Justice Brown, upheld the Louisiana law, reasoning that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution that Rachel Ann kept screaming out. So let's make it clear. The 14th Amendment of the Constitution was designated to enforce the political equality of blacks and whites, but not intended to abolish social inequality. Thus, the 14th Amendment did not encompass segregation, and states could permissibly exercise their police power to enforce segregation as a matter of public policy. The court also held that the state statute itself was not based on an assumption of Black inferiority, nor did it stigmatize Blacks with second-class status. Rather, quote, the colored race chooses to put that construction upon it, end quote. Now, Justice Harlan, sole dissent. So that meant one person out of 9 disagreed with that decision, right? And this is what he said. The one dissent argued that the law implicated civil, not just political equality. He noted that the law was intended not to exclude whites from railroad cars carrying blacks, but to exclude blacks from railroad cars carrying whites. Quote, in view of the Constitution, in the eyes of the law, there is in this country no superior, dominant, ruling class of citizens. There is no caste here. Our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows nor tolerates classes among citizens. In respect of civil rights, all citizens are equal before the law. The humblest is the peer of the most powerful. The law regards man as man and takes no account of his surroundings or his color when his civil rights, as guaranteed by the supreme law of the land, are involved. Now, that one person voted against the ultimate decision to institutionalize separate but equal, or what was known as Jim Crow law. Thank you for letting me get that in. Please continue.
All right, let me navigate the show to an ending, because it seems like we can continue with a part 2, or maybe we'll go over to Lex Vortex, the open mic. Y'all go over there and support that. I also want to tell Rachel, after long and exhaustive nights, I finally got that back end ready for download, and you damn sure can go over there. And if you say it ain't working, hit me again. No, but it's working. We tested it out, and everything should be right. And to my brother Blaqink, what you think? I appreciate the very eloquent speech and the in-depth insight and bringing this particular show together. And I see Rachel got something more she want to say. Let her get it off real quick.
No, I want to say nothing. Good night, y'all.
All right, we appreciate you, Rachel. Don't, Rachel, I go a little hard on my show, but that's just, the show. Like it's not a personal thing. I hope nobody take it personal when I go hard.
Lex is gonna take it personal. I'm not mad at you, Lex. I was just going at you because I'm passionate about that subject. So I don't want to hear nothing about you talking about Rachel is a witch and she hated on me. I don't want to hear that.
So now I take statements like that personal, but because that's I will say.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
I wasn't taking that personal at all. And there's no reason I would have to call you a witch or anything like that unless you were performing witchcraft and you was selling rocks, magic creams. We was talking about
Lex,
politics.
Cut you short, Lex, because you're gonna go into a long narrative, and I only got a few minutes. I'll give you a moment.
I'm just saying peace.
Close. If you got something you want to direct, you want to let them know about the album.
Oh yeah, Cold-Blooded Pre-Salvation, man. You can go to any of my videos, you know what I'm saying, and download that album. And also join playingthevortex.socialgold.com. Peace to Digital Dick Boss and Blaqink. Check out dstudios.com.
I'm gonna show it right now. I appreciate that.
Make sure y'all check it out, man. Peace. Thanks for having me on the show. And yeah, we'll be up and running probably in about an hour. We're gonna go live. Y'all welcome to come over there. Peace.
All right. That was Lex Vortex. Y'all check him out. Vortex open mic. So let me show my screen real quick. Get one little thing in before we shut it all the way down. I'm ready to get down with this site. I'm almost ready to super rock and roll, but this is our site. We got a digital bookstore. We're going in on all kind of information in the digital books. If you hit the start button here, or you can hit that yellow join the society, you're going to end up in the Calculated Risk Taker Digital Society. And the benefits of joining our society is to enable the advancement in knowledge of business, social, and personal growth, and access to a cooperative economic community, right? I'm also going to upgrade. Once you start coming in I'm upgrading. I'm going to give you the capacity to upload your videos, to build something similar to like the YouTubes and the Facebooks, but it takes a lot of money to integrate those systems. But I do have the team and I do have the STEM education to execute the goddamn plan. Holla at your boy. And so with that, please go and subscribe. It's $20 a month. We're going to give you plenty of information every month. I think I'll give away stuff every week. There's more to come if you just go join and stop saying, hey. Big shout out to Rachel, and she joined. She's been waiting patiently behind the scene while I fix a couple of things. This stuff is very tedious. The site is well put together. It's a beautiful site. I want to give a big shout out to all my techs, Black Becky the Techie, G-Dub, Blaqink, all my folks that come over here and help. And with that, I'm going to drop this little video that I uploaded a long time ago. What we got happening is what they call it in the conscious community, and they call it self-represented Black Power. What y'all know about it? Red is for the blood, black is for the people, and the green is for the land. You have to have your own land. You have a nation, and you have to be willing to defend it, even if it costs you your blood. What we got happening is what they call it in the conscious community, and they call it self-represented Black Power. I threw a little hell cruise in the game, dropped it down, explain a little bit about the paradigms. We got the Kemetic RPG, we got the Moors, we have the Hebrew Israelites, we got
the real black atheists. You got the Mossad Warrior Clan. You got the Dagger Squad. All of these factions is making up a YouTube syndicate called the Consciousness. And so what they're attempting to do is break down history and explain what they feel like is a conscious level. You know, to be aware, to understand yourself, self-image. Some of the cliques want to deny God. Other cliques, they promote God. What they seem to hate in unity is Christianity, as they explain that Christianity is those that are asleep and oppressed by the white man, so they say. So, you know, I come in the game with a little bit of Pan-Africanism. I draw mine in as like the eternal order of Pan-Africanism. And I pretty much promote Booker T. Washington in the STEM program, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. This dropped down in 1881 in Tuskegee, Alabama. Now, you can't really get any realer than this, since we only got free in like 1865. So they had the Juneteenth, where the last folks in Texas began to understand that, you know, things had changed and black folks got some sort of level of freedom. 1889, the man's name was Henry William, dropped a thing called equal but separate, where they took the concept that black folks need to live by themselves and are separate from white folks. So with that, we were forced to do our own thing. So we did. We ended up creating Black Wall Street and a few other things. Marcus Garvey came on the scene. Marcus Garvey dropped. He took a Booker T. Washington perspective, which is UNIA establishment, and took on this Tuskegee framework for what he would call his nationalism, fighting against the NAACP faction, hooked up with the Joel Weingart, and they would take us into this formation. And so now, bringing us all the way to 2016, dealing with this conscious community, you got like a fake level of Pan-Africanism that wants to exclude instead of include, because they don't like a particular paradigm that's out there in the mix. So, you know, what I'm attempting to do is put a little friction in the game, put a little test to Polite, put a little test to Sarah Seti, Young Pharaoh, and all of these spectacular names that you find on Sonnetic TV. Hit their ass with the truth in the book. See if you can handle Tuskegee machine. See if you can understand what nation building is really like. So you got Emmett Scott in 1915. He dropped a book after Booker T. Washington passed away. He dropped a book called The Builder of a Civilization. So you got Amos Wilson. He gave you the blueprint of Black Power, but he got the reference Marcus Garvey. He got the reference Booker T. Washington. He got to go back. He don't establish Black Power. He references Black Power. So when you think about, well, what is Black Power? Well, Black Power is having economic control over your environment. That's Black Power. Black Power ain't a fist held in the sky, a march of resistance to police brutality. Black Power is having economic efficiency in your environment. And when you kind of deal with that, when you kind of got to put a finger on that, when you got to look around and say, well, who gave us that? Well, you can't get no realer than Booker T. Washington.
Yes, y'all. It ain't a secret no more. I need y'all to understand this before I jump out of here. I need you to understand this book, because a lot of y'all never heard of Harold Cruz. I got a video on my page. If you type in Harold Cruz, Digital Pit Boss, you'll find the video. Or you can go to my website and go inside the bookstore under the recommended reading section, and I have a link that you can order this book for about $6, and it's a nice thick book, and it's a hell of a read. This man dropped this book in 1967 in the midst of the Black Power Revolution, and he was a scholar of his day, a rock star scholar among the scholars of the 60s. So it was happening in real time, and he gives you The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual, a historical analysis of the failure of Black leadership. And this is where I come in at, bringing y'all this hot damn information that you ain't never heard of, showing you a book you ain't got in your 1,000 book library. And when you get this book and you read this book, you're going to understand why Pitt Boss go in the way he do. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I appreciate all the guests. Tune in to all the people's channels. Support. Y'all rarely support my channel. I hope y'all support my channel. I would appreciate that. There's several ways to do it. Contact me and just dialogue with me in such a way that we can elevate one another. You can financially support the show. You can go hit a link and send something from my wish list to support the show. And I'm going to keep bringing you the heat. And I'm going to keep on keeping on with the keeping till it's keeping strong. So I appreciate y'all. And with that, y'all, should I do the 4 agreements? Should I leave y'all with the 4 agreements? Always do your best. Never make assumptions. Never make assumptions. That is a bad thing when you start making assumptions and don't understand the fullness of the facts. Never make assumptions. Never take it personal. Never take it personal. When you take things personal, it gets you off your square. And now you become like somebody from Delaware, off their square. And last but not least, what was the last one? Never take it personal, always do your best. And always be impeccable. Absolutely impeccable with your words. I am the DPB, the Digital Pit Boss. Put a game on you so quick, boy, you can get lost in the sauce. Appreciate you for listening in. Thank you for joining the show.